Principal Poland and Principal Perez. Take a picture, but I need you up here. Take the picture. Ian.
Yes.
Ian, get over there.
Yes, you can stand. Thank you.
Come over. So Ian, maybe you should come here.
Right here.
I will do whatever I'm told.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more.
So proud of you all. That is an awesome, awesome job. Thank you so much.
Nima. She just wants to shake your hand.
Sorry.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
All right. Please.
No, I need to cut that out.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't have any committee updates this evening, I don't believe, other than you all know that the budget referendum failed again. We're only 15 votes short on the education budget. And I urge anybody in the town of Thompson, if you live in Thompson, get your neighbors, get everybody out to vote, because we have to pass this education budget. So, we will go to the superintendent's update. She has the enrollment update.
So enrollment is a moving number, almost by the hour right now in the schools. Usually the numbers settle down by October 1. We ended the school year last year with 972 students. We currently have 976 in our system, and they are processing about another dozen as of the close of business today. So our enrollment is up. The number of students currently enrolled at the high school is 225. At the middle school is 328, and at the elementary school is at 423. So we are up 4 students from the end of last year, plus the 12 that I know are going to be registered in the system. So our numbers are going up. I'm glad to see that, but at the October Board of Ed meeting, the numbers I give you then will be more stabilized, because the comings and goings aren't just happening. So we are very excited about more students coming into our system. And it looks like it's a big bulk coming in at the middle level. So
I'll now ask the administrators to give their updates. Nav, you want to start us off?
Sure. Just a couple things. Handout that is just from the paper that was back in late June. We finished a camp convention, and we had a reporter from both the Hartford Courant and from the Villager that came to cover and take pictures and so forth. So it was a very successful program. And also, we recently, the pre-K teachers in Paris, kindergarten Paris, and teachers were all beginning a program called Tools of the Mind. And once it starts to get into place a little bit more, I hope you're able to come and visit. I invite you in. Give us a few months, and you will see that it's quite a successful program for executive functioning of our little ones, our beginning students. So very successful. I was able to attend, Linda was able to attend also one of those days. Thank you.
Bob?
Good evening, everybody. Our students will be coming back tomorrow with some changes at the middle school. I believe you're already aware from last spring we reported out that we're changing our schedule from a 7 to a 6 period day, which will provide kids with some remediation during the school day based on a variety of different data that indicates who the ELA and math students are that need that type of remediation. We have also changed some of our team structures around, our 5th and 6th grade teams. We've kind of shuffled some teachers around, so we have new team dynamics there at those grade levels. We also have some new staff, or some staff that have changed roles. Caitlin Adler, a former 8th grade English teacher, is now our additional school counselor. Dan Tenike is our new technology teacher. We've added that as an elective course. Andrew Burns has taken over as our health teacher. Kerry Procco is now our library media specialist. And Jess Dion has moved up to us to grade 5 from Mary R. Fisher. And we are in the process of hiring a new grade 5-6 school psychologist.
Larry, do you have anything to add to that?
No, other than the last couple of days with the school-based diversion initiative that came in today under that social emotional umbrella. That was a nice little PD, hour-long PD. And of course, the ruler training that we're doing district-wide as well. Just 2 great initiatives, point to the need of students with social emotional problems.
Megan, you're hiding back there?
I am. Good evening.
Would you reintroduce yourself to us?
I certainly will. Thank you very much. Ms. Megan Perrett.
Okay.
The same name I was when I was 8, without the doctorate. I still don't have it. Still working on it. But anyways, thank you. Good evening. We're really excited for the opportunities that Mr. Dan Tenike and Mr. Carrie Procco have here at the middle school. We're certainly sorry to see them go to the high school, but we are really excited for the impact, the positive impact that they will have on our children at younger ages, continuing to help forge the foundations, really knowing that they're going to do wonderfully down here at the middle school. So congratulations. We were sorry to see Dr. Matthew Gardner-Spencer move on to New Haven following his wife's career. He was sad to go, but we're really excited to introduce new staff to our family. We have Nathan Phillips in our math department coming to us from Virginia. We have Mr. Sean Sweeney coming to us from Enfield in Rico High. And one of our very own alumni from 2012, Mr. Dalton Pieka, still working on the on-tuning vowels. He'll be joining us in our English department, so we're very excited that they are joining us. We apologize for running in post 7 o'clock, but we're really excited to say that we had another successful open halls. 3 years ago, we started an open halls, very non-structured event at the high school where students could come in, get a schedule, change something on the schedule, walk around the halls with their parents, regardless of what stage in the cleaning process we were at, just to not only give them a sense of familiarity, but also ease some of the angst that we as parents feel when our children make such huge transitions. I'm happy to say we had 30 freshmen join us this afternoon. So we're really excited that so many took advantage. Gives Mr. Coleman and I to make personal relationships initially with these students, recognizing them, starting to learn their names and connecting with their parents. So we're really excited. Tomorrow we'll have our freshmen in with a 2-to-1 ratio of our student leadership team. Very exciting day where our kids are talking from student to student about the experiences and how to maximize high school. And then we'll welcome back all of our uppers on Thursday. One of the biggest changes that we're making this year in our first day back for all of our high school is that we heard from our students. They wanted to hit the ground running. They wanted to get into those learning environments. They didn't want a pep rally for an hour and a half. So we're really excited to say, we've heard you, we're listening, we're going to get you going, we're going to get you rolling, and we're going to do a full day minus the quick little welcome in the auditorium for announcements, but we're going to honor the request to get busy and get successful. So really excited, thank you.
Ryan?
Hiding back here. I don't need to add anything to what Megan said for the high school. I guess for curriculum and professional development over the course of the summer, we've been extraordinarily busy with lots of work being done, all of which will be celebrated, really planned for the September board meeting. So this is just a teaser for what's to come in just a few weeks. We had a successful PD day today. Larry mentioned some of the things going on. We worked with the new student information system, and that seems to be fairly, I don't want to say seamless, because of course there were issues, as there always are, but teachers are adjusting very quickly to getting their grade book set up and learning the new system. So that was really the big bulk of the morning, so that they can hit the ground running with their students tomorrow and Thursday. So looking forward to a good start.
And the stroke of genius between you and Heather coordinating, having teachers teach teachers and having teacher leaders actually lead that professional development for the SIS system was really, I thought, well done and very smart.
And Heather did a great job being able to put that in the hands of the teachers who were going to be using the stuff, and so she could handle the technical issues on the background. I know she's been extraordinarily busy, and we're grateful for all the stuff she's doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think I've warned the board that an SIS conversion is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of moving pieces, and Heather's been juggling all of that, and hopefully, another month or so, she'll come up for air. But
Chris, I know you're giving us a presentation in a bit, but other than what's on your presentation, what's going on with the pupil services?
Sure. So it's more of an update for the Bradley program. But in addition to that, the related service providers have all been trained in CompuPlane. So we started this process during ESY, but now everyone's up to speed. So moving forward, we're all set with our billing purposes as a department. So number one.
CompuClaim is Medicaid reimbursement.
Also looking to roll out, as the year moves along, unified sports. We had talked about that in the past meeting, basketball and volleyball. And we're gonna roll out Best Buddies. They'll be in to talk to the respected faculties on September 11th.
Okay. Bill, I was lucky enough to take the tour last Thursday and saw a lot of the amazing work that your crew has done. And what else are we doing now?
Well, so we completed the outside lighting project. All of the parking lot lights and exterior lights have been converted to not only LED lights, but smart LED lights. In some cases, they may be smarter than me, because I'm still not sure how to program all of them, but we're getting there. We did some extensive concrete repairs that are still ongoing. We had some decaying steps both at the elementary school, the high school. They're working on those. Some sidewalk areas that have been done. We had to take down 30+ trees that succumbed to gypsy moths over the last 2 years and became a hazard to just about everybody. So those are down. They've mostly been picked up. We still have some stumps to grind. Those folks are still in. We're wrapping up one security project by installing the bollards as we speak. That work is still ongoing. And we've started the next security project by installing the ballistic window film. As of this afternoon, the elementary school is 95% complete. Elementary school, 3rd and 4th grade, we painted all the hallways. Lovely color scheme. I wasn't too sure at first when I saw it in my mind, but when it was on the walls, it looked great.
I think it's great. I love the colors.
New ceilings in those hallways, which that area of the school has been in, let's say, shabby condition for quite some time, as long as I've been here, and that's now quite some time. Sometimes I forget what we did. And anybody that attends soccer matches this fall will find a nice new concession stand up at the athletic complex, along with a new flagpole, so the flags should be flying for the games, and the concession stand should be open. I'm not exactly sure the menu. There's rumors about coffee, hot chocolate, ice cream, snacks, things like that.
Deb, anything to say about our upcoming athletic season?
We had the high school parent player meeting August 13th.
Great.
The middle school one is tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, where most of the kids are registered. Well, there's still a bunch of stragglers registering, but that meeting will be tomorrow night. Football already started. They started the 19th. cross-country started the 22nd. Everybody else starts the 29th, which is Thursday. So we'll be underway. We finally got all our fall coaching positions covered right now. So we're good for fall. The rest of the year, as far as coaching positions, we're struggling.
Thank you. Heather, I heard you were busy fixing Chromebooks all summer and
Yeah, my team updated all of the Chromebooks, probably around 600 or so. Sent the broken ones out for repair. We've also purchased cases to protect them this year
Good.
that snap on, so hopefully we'll have a lot less damage to those. The new SIS has been rolled out for it's pretty much a new system for parents, students, teachers, secretaries. We have to make sure data is syncing to the cafeteria, to the nurses. So it's a lot. Of course, there are some bugs, but we're working through those this week, and I mean all summer we have. But we were lucky to have some student interns helping with the Chromebooks, so that was really
Are we
beneficial.
planning to buy more Chromebooks this year?
So you bought replacement Chromebooks this year, correct?
Yeah, we purchased about 50, I'd say, new ones to give to teachers and students as needed. Probably next year we'll be needing to refresh a whole grade because they'll be a couple years old, so we'll have to put a schedule in
So who
place.
exactly has the Chromebooks now?
5th through 12th grade.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Bob, have we finished the year yet? Have we closed the year yet?
Well, I have till Friday. Basically, what I'm working on right now is, it's still kind of a moving target because we have some open recs still, and then there are invoices that are dribbling in. We will end the year in the black. And I'm preparing for the state report that's due on September 3rd. I should be done with it and ready for submission on Friday. I'm hitting my targets. I've adjusted, today I finished all the grants. The grant accounts all ended up being completely spent, with the exception of one. Title III, which is English as a second language grant. And so that's the only one that we're carrying over. I mean, when I started with folks, I said, you know, the philosophy of grants is you get them and you spend them that year. Don't save them up, because what ends up happening is you end up sending money back. As a matter of fact, I got a bill about a month and a half ago for $145 from some grant from 2014 that I couldn't talk our way out of. It's like, oh, come on, this is really old, but it seemed like the guy had already had that conversation with about 40 other business managers. So the grants have balanced out for the year. Right now I'm recoding all the general ledger and the grants to conform to the state format, and which also conforms to the National Education Association's formats. So right now I'm projecting we're about $1,500 in the black. Probably by Friday, I'm pretty sure it'll be a lot closer to zero.
As long as we have $1.
Well, I'm going to round off. The next thing I just want to quickly touch base with the cafeteria. The cafeteria ended up the year in the black, $54,470. Some of the money we're going to be using, you're supposed to have, because it's a nonprofit, you should have 3 months of operating costs on hand. We still haven't hit that threshold yet, but Lisa ended up buying some larger ticket items, changing the counter in the cafeteria, installing some new counter space, and so some of the money that were in the black is being used towards some capital improvements in the kitchen area that's being paid for out of the cafeteria.
And you know that's restricted to only being spent on the cafeteria.
The lunch debt for fiscal year 2019 ended at $1,864.45. So we're paying that back, and that is also included in the $1,500 where we're at right now for what we're in the black. There was Still can't figure out what happened to the previous years. I left directions that last year's bad debt was supposed to be paid for by the money that we had left, that the board had. The last year's bad debt was $1,039. Apparently it wasn't paid, so we'll pay that as well. That still doesn't impact I had included that in the money that I said we'd be in the black. Comes out to about $2,900. For 2020, just to make you, I sent out I don't know if you get the numbers in the packet. I didn't compare them to a budget yet. I'm gonna wait until a budget's actually approved before I update everything in Munis, and have it matching up with appropriate budget numbers. Some of the numbers have changed, of course. You know, we've hired people that were less expensive or more expensive than what we brought on. We still haven't gotten the insurance, the first insurance bills yet for the year. So there's going to be some changes in that too. So when I get that, I'll send those numbers out to you as soon as I'll get that within a couple of days. But the big thing on my plate right now is getting the EFS in, and I want to do it before Friday because I don't want to do it over the weekend. The last thing is to keep in mind, and I'm not going to. One of the things we want to keep in mind is we budgeted for 16 outplacement students for going into this year, and we're at 21.
20, right, Mr. John?
20? Okay. At 80,000 a pop, okay, I mean, even at, say, 60 a pop, that's another $240,000 that we're already gonna be behind going into this year, plus the way that we budgeted the excess special ed cost money is another $350,000. So when we're going into this year, one of the things Melinda and I talked about at administrative retreat last week was the budget's tight. And if you think last year's budget was tight, it was not as tight as this year's budget's gonna be because we're already in the hole. We ended up needing all that excess special ed cost money that we got last year.
We would have been in deficit.
But we would have been in deficit last year. I also just, as an aside, I think some other people have heard about this, but we had an excess special ed cost audit a couple of weeks ago, and we ended up getting, I found some stuff that hadn't been reported. This was from a previous year, from fiscal year ending 2018, and I didn't do those reports. So, but we found about the $41,000 worth of reimbursement.
And we're asking the Board of Finance tonight for that reimbursement.
That money will be coming out probably in January. And it's
Yeah.
I'm
Chris,
surprised
that-
could you give us an update on the
Excuse me,
Bradley program?
Kathleen, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know I'm deaf
Um,
in this here.
I know, I'm sorry. So, I thought we were gonna get a handle on this lunch debt.
So we do have a handle on the lunch debt. The lunch debt used to be running well over $6,000, and we've gotten it down tremendously. And, you know, I can say that food service is on top of this, but we're not shaming kids. It's not a philosophy I believe in. We're not shaming kids around lunch. So we will serve them a lunch. We're not gonna give them a cheese sandwich or an alternate lunch. They're getting lunch. And then we're doing due diligence on trying to collect those funds from parents. The interesting thing is what we'll look at next year this year, when we're putting in the free lunch pilot at Mary Fisher. That breaks even, then we'll know that we're able to maybe extend that to the middle and high. But it seems like there's some families that don't meet the eligibility guidelines, but yet still can't afford to pay for some of those meals. And so there's that problem. But I think that getting it down to the number that it's at, and money is still coming in. Remember, school's gonna start tomorrow, and I'm assuming that parents who have some debt might be still paying that off from last year. But we have to reconcile it at the end of every year. And we were, when I started in Thompson, up over $6,000 a year lunch debt. So I applaud what my office has done, what the food service office has done, and the principals, by the way, who really held parents' feet to the fire at the end of the school year to try to get those numbers down. So, and you know, I don't expect my administrators to be bill collectors, but we had no choice. We were trying to reach out to the families personally to see if there was a problem, help them fill out a free and reduced lunch form. Lisa's telling me that our direct certification numbers are up. If that number hits a certain threshold, then we can offer the whole district next year free lunch, which would be amazing. So we're at a point right now that we're gonna try something, and we'll come back to the board and let you know. Is it breaking even? Is it costing the board money to feed all the students at Mary Fisher? It's an experiment this year, a pilot that we're looking at. I don't know what the outcome is. Lisa's very confident that she's going to be fine. And so we're just gonna monitor it. But there is always gonna be some debt until the federal government really addresses the situation that every school district across the nation is facing with unpaid lunch debt.
How close are we to that threshold where everybody gets?
Last year was only by a few students, but now I hear on the federal level that they might be reducing the SNAP program for families, so that will impact our direct certification students, and if we have less kids getting direct certification, then we'll have less of an opportunity to get free lunch for all. So it does have a trickle-down effect. Bob?
I just, for percentage-wise, and if you're running a business of 0.42% shrinkage, for bad debt is like ridiculously low. That's really, if you put it, the revenue for the cafeteria last year was $454,552. So to have an $1,800 debt, bad debt from that is, it's enviable in business.
Do we find that it's just people who can't pay, or they just, is it, like?
We have a little bit of both. There are some families, especially in situations where there might be a pending divorce and no one's really taking responsibility for those debt and it hasn't been reconciled through any kind of courts. We've seen a lot of that. Single families who might just meet that guideline, but can't afford it. So we do have some of that, and then we have some parents that are just chronically not paying it. So.
You're up.
Okay, so in terms of the Bradley School partnership, we had full approval today from the Department of Ed. Colleen Hales came out to view the space, the 3 classrooms and the clinical space where the team would meet. Absolutely loved the space, met all of her expectations, so we're good to go, full approval starting tomorrow. So with that said, to start the year, we have 5 students, technically 6 going into the program. There are 3 coming in from neighboring districts. We have Putnam, Woodstock, and Killingly joining the program. So important to note that the 3 classrooms would have a special education teacher, a behavior technician in each of the 3 rooms. There would be an educational coordinator that will oversee the 3 teachers. There will be a behavior technician coordinator that will oversee the 3 behavior technicians, a clinical psychologist, and a clinical social worker that will be on site at all times to manage the 3 rooms. So the rooms are fully packed with staff. So now, a student is in crisis, or before they go into crisis, they can be seen to help process whatever it is that's going on. It is very difficult when you have a student in an out-of-district placement and they're doing well, and now you want to try to bring them back and the services don't match. So now you have an out-of-district placement placed here in the public school, at least restrictively. You can slowly get them out once the behavior is consistent and the data suggests that it's time to start getting them out. And that would also be with support of the Bradley staff. So we're very excited for the opportunity. I would personally like to thank all the administrators, because it is a team effort, superintendent's vision, Mr. Birch, because without him, truly the program would not be ready to go tomorrow. So I owe him a great deal of gratitude for that. So I think we're in a great place right now to start the year.
We saw the construction going on, or Thursday, I mean, it's all ready to go since Thursday?
Absolutely.
All the rooms are painted?
Painted, ready to go, furnished, set to go.
Wow.
So again, Colleen Hales from
Amazing.
the state was here at 9:30 this morning.
Because
And that had to pass approval.
we saw those timeout rooms and how that, you know.
So we call that the chill zone.
Oh, the chill room.
The chill zone, yes.
The chill room. Are they gonna be padded?
No.
The
No,
kid
no
could
padding.
hurt himself on those walls, if they bang their heads.
Well, if they were in there doing any type of self-injurious behavior, that would lead to a restraint. They don't go in there to do that.
Okay.
That's why it's called a chill zone. If you need to take a break, you would go in there to do so.
Okay. All right.
No packing.
I mean, I could just see a kid banging his head against those.
And I think if the students reach that level, then they're not going to be in the Bradley program on site in our school. They'll go to the Bradley program either in Providence or Montville.
Correct.
Because they're not really ready to
Okay.
be in the public school. But I applaud Chris's efforts, and, you know, just so the board and the public knows, he's been working nonstop every day through the summer to make sure that we didn't have any hiccups along the way, and that the program has been well planned along the way, that the students have been matched to the program, and he's spent a lot of time talking to other districts. And certainly he was part of the interview team when they were interviewing for the new Bradley staff. I think that I've met all the Bradley people. They seem like a wonderful group. Our administrators have, and faculty and staff have welcomed them into our schools. They will be part of our schools. Even though it's still considered not a district placement, we still will be paying tuition to that placement, but at a significantly reduced rate, which is a benefit to the district. And we're not providing a bus to send a student to a placement, you know, somewhere down in Waterford and far away. So there's, it's the right thing to do for children first, but secondly, there might be some cost savings along the way. I will caution everyone, and Chris has been telling us every day in the summer, the numbers could go up, swing up, before they start to settle back down and we start to see a reduction in students that are placed out of district. But the goal is to keep our children home and service them here. So thank you, Chris, for all that work, and especially the administrators and Bill Birch. I don't know how we did it, but he did a lot of work to get that done, so.
Budget update?
I think Bob just gave an update. There's really nothing to be said until we know what's happening with the budget.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at a standstill there.
So now we're on action items. The first action item is to approve the handbooks for the high school, the middle school, and Mary R. Fisher. We'll take the high school handbook first. I will entertain a
And we
motion.
made all those corrections. Linda actually looked at them and we made all of those edits.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion, anybody second that?
Including all of just high school.
Okay,
Yeah, just.
discussion?
All the grammar school.
I thought you said this one was fine. This is the high school. High school's okay? Huh?
They've all been fixed.
They're all okay now? Okay, fine. All right, being no discussion on this matter, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of accepting the high school handbook, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstained? And the motion passes. Okay, the next matter, I'll take a motion to accept the Thompson Middle School handbook.
Motion to do so?
Second. There were some changes made to this one.
There were sections that were missing, and Mr. Knowlton and Mr. Prentice took care of that for us
Okay.
and fixed it. Thank you.
All right, any discussion on this?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, they're no longer having in-school suspension. What is the course of action?
So that's what we're working with SBDI on. That school-based diversion initiative is to reduce out-of-school suspension. That's the work around restorative practice, and so we are working on that. What they will be doing is looking at each individual handbook and our discipline practices and policies, and trying to give us some guidance to update all of that, and that will be part of the project this year.
Okay, any more discussion on the matter? Okay, then I'll put the matter to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman votes, Vice Chair votes aye. All those opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Now we have the Mary R. Fisher Elementary School handbook. Two had some changes made to it.
It was more the table of contents didn't match up with the
Oh, okay.
content, so now
All
we
right.
worked
Yes, I
on that and
remember
fixed
that.
it.
Okay, so now that's been corrected. I'll take a motion to accept that.
I'll make that motion.
Make that motion. Jody made the motion. Second the motion? Make a second? Jody did. Okay. All right. So any discussion on this handbook? Okay. I'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of accepting the Mary R. Fisher Elementary School handbook, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the finance director's contract.
You know, we are recommending a 3% increase in salary for this year, and a 3-year contract with an annual review for performance, and you know, to continue his contract. Bob will set goals at the beginning of each year. He'll be evaluated like any other member at the end of the year in this contract. So I'm pleased. I can tell the board that Mr. Gentes works extremely hard. As you can tell, he's always well prepared with his numbers. He does a lot of research. And if you ask him a question, I'm sure he could open that little laptop and give you the answer. It's been a pleasure working with him this past year, and I thank him for all the hard work. Working with a budget and getting it down to almost zero has taken a lot of attention to detail, which he certainly has, so I am thrilled to recommend that.
I'd like to second that. I've had the pleasure of working with Bob this year, and being a numbers person myself, I appreciate what he's done for this school and how much work he's put into it, and I appreciate that he listens to my input, and I feel that he does listen to my input, and that makes me feel good. And I really like to say that I appreciate and I admire the work that he's done. And
Thank you.
I hope we have a long, happy relationship. So,
Yes, we need to-
may I have a motion for,
Make motion, 3% and a 3-year
okay, with,
contract
With
with
an
an annual.
with the, his annuity being 5%, continue to be 5%.
5%.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? We hashed this out at the, okay, I'll now put this forward for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I don't have any correspondence. Do you have any correspondence? No? Okay, any citizens' comments again at this time? Okay,
My husband and I divided and conquered the 2 meetings tonight. And conversation is that they're looking to cut again from the school budget.
please speak up. I
Yeah.
didn't hear that last.
So they're still discussing cutting more money
Oh,
out
I
of the school
know,
budget.
that's why we really want to get down to that meeting.
So at this point, what else is there besides extracurriculars and sports to cut? Since apparently there are residents in town who don't seem to understand that.
Well, we haven't dipped into the supply line yet, although we did tell the schools to order the essential materials that they needed to open the doors. We didn't let them go into the next level, which were some more support materials, because we kind of put the brakes on all of that. You know, I have Deb Spinelli, who's done an analysis, and I'll bring that to the board next month, of, you know, our athletic department. I have recommended to the board that we eliminate middle school sports for the spring. It is not something I philosophically agree with, but it's something that I feel we're gonna have to reconcile. Where are we getting this extra money from? And if they cut us any more, we're gonna start to dig into student programming. And it's going to have families are going to start to feel that, and it's not a threat in any way. It's the reality of the situation that we're in. Those are the things we'd be looking at. Supplies. You know, we haven't dug deeper into our parapool, but all of the paraprofessionals that we have, many of them are assigned to students because they have special education needs. So it's not like we can eliminate those positions. It will be Bob and I and my team at central office to come up with more recommendations for the Board of Ed to review. But I can tell you that the next layer is going to be pretty significant.
And then one more, and I promise, then I'll.
That's okay.
So there's been an awful lot of complaining, and only so many of us can continue to correct the misinformation that's spewed out daily. Is there any way, and I know that we've tried Saturday meetings before and that's been a flop, to do more or try to get more interest in doing more either weekend or another night meetings for budget information so that we can try to get more? Unfortunately, I think you guys kind of shot yourselves in the foot with the recording the meetings, because now people don't believe they have to come to participate.
That may be true. We are looking at perhaps live stream Facebook and having some sessions where people can type in some questions about the budget. I can certainly get out there into the community, and any community group that wants to meet with me and talk to Bob and I about budget, we're certainly willing to do that. But I think that I need to make myself a little bit more accessible so that they can ask those questions. We don't have anything to hide.
Right.
You know, anything that they would like to know or have a question about, as long as I'm not breaching student confidentiality, you know, we can certainly have those discussions. But I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about, you know, the per pupil costs and what it costs to actually run a district. I ran a much bigger district. I can tell you, I had more wiggle room in that budget than I have in this budget. It is so close to the bone. It's frightening. And the fact that, you know, we're down to dollars closing out last year, and the only reason we got out of it in the black is because we lobbied the town to get reimbursement money for special education costs that we were, by law, supposed to receive anyway. So, I mean, finally, I think the Board of Finance understood that concept and gave us the $272,000. But that just balanced out the year, and that reimbursement is for monies that we spent in the current year that we're just getting back from the state. It's not extra money. So, you know, looking at everything overall, I mean, I think the next layer, and the principals can agree, that we dig deeper, and it is gonna mean programming, it is going to mean extracurriculars, it is going to mean a reduction in some of our sports program. And by the way, that's the very thing that gets some of our kids out of bed in the morning. So it's a devastation, I think, to the district.
Can you go to a pay-to-play sports? I know not everyone can afford it, but other schools do it. You pay one lump sum at the beginning of the year, and that covers whatever sport you play throughout the entire year.
And I would promote that.
Excuse me, but we need your name.
Karen Lamontagne?
Carrie, we would do
Karen.
that, but we have over 50% of our students living in poverty. And that's the biggest issue. And I know that many of the students that are participating in our sports programs are some of those students. There are families, I'm sure, who would pay to play. But when we think about the students that are playing, and Deb knows this better than I do, I don't think some of those families would be able to afford it. Yes.
On top of that, a few years ago it came up, and Jill Lumley and I went through it all, and not even thinking about kids with poverty level, just flat out doing the numbers with, just giving a discount if we had more than 2 kids. We would not be making enough to even pay for the buses. And then that's not even collecting it, you have to collect it.
Right.
You can say you're gonna do it, but then you gotta be able to collect it. It's gonna be like the lunch program.
Right.
There are schools that you have to pay for a bus, so there's another consideration there. It's tough, because there are families that can't afford it, but I know Shrewsbury, they're a little bit richer, but $300 to ride a bus.
Wow. Well, we're gonna hope that our town leaders think otherwise and don't go down the road of cutting the schools. We'll find out as soon as we get there what's happening. And we're gonna work with the administrative team to try to figure out what we're gonna do next. And then I'll make that recommendation to the board. Ultimately, the board is gonna have to agree on some of the recommendations I bring forward. And some of them they probably philosophically don't agree with either, but it's gonna be the reality that we're gonna be faced with.
That it? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
But let's have a great day tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, let's not end on a sad note, because we have almost 1,000 wonderful students coming tomorrow. We're looking forward to it, and anyone here, get a sign, get out on Route 12, and cheer on our students coming back.